a man who lost everything, and a sandwich that transformed lives. This story begins with a simple act of generosity that will transform into a tangle of emotions and surprises. Get ready, because what you are about to hear will change the way you see the world. Sophia was an 8-year-old girl with big curious eyes and an even bigger heart. She lived in a small village called Monterivo with her father Marco, a man always busy, and her mother Julia, who ran a small pastry shop. Sophia was known for her empathy and desire to help anyone in need. She loved spending afternoons in her mother's bakery, watching the customers and learning how to decorate the cakes. Her favorite treat was chocolate chip cookies, which she often shared with her friends. Every morning, Marco accompanied her to school, passing through a small square. It was a quiet routine, but Sophia always noticed a man sitting on the same bench. Tommaso. This man had a sad look, worn clothes, and a posture that betrayed an invisible but crushing weight. He had with him an old worn bag, full of papers and books. Sometimes he seemed to be reading, other times he stared into space, lost in his thoughts. "Dad, why is that man always there?" Sophia asked one day, tugging at her father's sleeve. Marco, in a hurry, answered absent-mindedly, "I don't know, darling. Maybe he has nowhere else to go." But that answer wasn't enough for Sophia. Every time they passed by, she felt a lump in her heart seeing Tommaso, immersed in his thoughts and his solitude. Once, she noticed that he had a pen between his fingers and was drawing on a crumpled sheet of paper. This detail sparked her curiosity. Who was that man and why did he seem so sad? One day, while walking with her grandmother Lucia, Sophia saw Tommaso on the bench. Holding her grandmother's hand, she whispered, "Grandma, can we give him something to eat? He seems so sad." Lucia, a kind and generous woman, was moved by the purity of her granddaughter's gesture. She took a sandwich out of her bag and approached Tommaso with Sophia. "Here, this is for you," Lucia said with a smile. Tommaso looked up, surprised, and murmured a thank you full of gratitude. His gaze, until that moment dull, seemed to light up slightly. He adjusted his glasses and added, "I don't know how to thank you." From that day on, Sophia began to do everything she could to bring a smile to Tommaso's face. Every time she met him, she would leave him a small gift, a cookie, a flower picked on the street, or a drawing she had made. Tommaso seemed to appreciate those gestures more than he could express with words. One afternoon, while Sophia was walking with her dad, she stopped in front of the bench to give Tommaso a bag with some chocolate cookies she had made herself. "I made them with Mom," she said proudly. Tommaso, moved, took the time to open the bag and taste one. "They're delicious, Sophia," he said with a genuine smile, the first one Sophia had ever seen on his face. What seemed like a simple gesture became the first step in an extraordinary change. That evening, Sophia told her parents about the episode. Julia praised her for her kindness, but Marco couldn't hide his concern. "It's not safe to approach a stranger, Sophia," he said in a serious tone. However, inside he felt conflicted. Perhaps his little girl was seeing things that he, caught up in the daily rush, couldn't notice. The next morning, their routine was interrupted by a loud knock at the door. Marco, immersed in his work, went to open it. He found two policemen with serious faces in front of him. "Is this Sophia's house?" one of them asked. Marco's heart began to race. "Yes, what's happening? Did something happen to my daughter?" "No, nothing to worry about," the officer replied. "We're here to talk about your daughter's gesture toward a man in the square." Marco, confused, signaled the policeman to come in. He then discovered that Tommaso, the man on the bench, was a missing person for months. His sister Anna was desperately looking for him. "Your daughter was the first to talk to him and make him feel seen," the policeman explained. Marco, who until that moment had considered Tommaso only a stranger, suddenly felt touched by the situation. "I can't believe that all this happened thanks to Sofia," he said with a mixture of amazement and pride. They decided to accompany Sofia to the police station to meet Anna. Anna, an elegant woman with a face lined with worry, approached Sofia with tears in her eyes. "I have no words to thank you," she said in a trembling voice. "You not only fed my brother, but you gave him hope. I thought I had lost him forever." Sofia looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and shyness. Anna knelt down to hug her. "You have a big heart, my little one," she added. It was then that Anna told the story of Tommaso. He was once a successful businessman with a happy family. But everything changed when he lost his wife and daughter in a car accident. Overwhelmed by grief, Tommaso fell into depression and lost everything, finding himself living on the streets. He was a brilliant man, Anna said, showing a family photo. But grief destroyed him. "Your gesture reminded him that there is still goodness in the world," Anna concluded. Sofia listened attentively, clutching the stuffed animal she always carried with her. From that moment, everything changed. Tommaso was admitted to a clinic to receive the necessary care. Marco, initially skeptical, offered to help financially to cover the medical expenses. Julia and Sofia's teacher, the sweet Elisa, also mobilized to help Tommaso get back on his feet. Elisa organized a fundraiser among the parents of the school, while Julia prepared meals for the clinic staff as a sign of gratitude. Months later, Tommaso began to recover. He never forgot Sofia's gesture, which brought him back to life. He went back to work, this time as a volunteer at a homeless shelter, inspired by the kindness he had received. During an event at the shelter, he shared his story and how a little girl had given him the courage to start over. The little square, meanwhile, had become a special place for Sofia and her family. Every week, they would go there to leave small gifts for anyone in need. Sofia had even hung a sign she had written, "A gesture of kindness can change the world." One day, while they were walking, Sofia and her family met a new homeless man sitting on the same bench. This time it was Tommaso who approached, carrying a blanket and a hot meal. "This is for you," he said, with a smile that spoke of redemption and hope. Sofia watched the scene with eyes full of pride, knowing that her gesture had created a chain of kindness. Sofia, though too young to fully understand the impact of her actions, continued to spread kindness wherever she went. The little square where it all began became a symbol of the kindness that had the power to transform lives.